What are these Qi Gong sound remedies, Yan?
These Qi Gong sound remedies are remedies of potentized ancient healing Qi Gong sounds. And they help to balance the body, all the organ systems, the 5 elements, and they are done through toning.
Mother tinctures were also potentized by hand using the Hahnemannian method, dilution and succussion. And this you have began your work in fall 2017, and they are called as Qi Gong, right? Not Qi Gong.
Yes, yes. So yes, they're called Qi Gong, but they can be pronounced Qi. It depends on the language. In Chinese, it's Qi. In Japanese, it's Qi. So that is all correct. And yes, after I graduated from homeopathic college, I had been thinking about doing these sound remedies for quite a while in school, because I'm also a Qi Gong practitioner. So following my graduation, I began to make these remedies. And I potentized everything by hand using the Hahnemannian method. I tried to do the Fibonacci sequences of 1, 3, 5x starting there, but I found that the best potency for these sounds was 6x. So all of these sounds currently are in 6x potency.
And they are made into the spring water.
Yes, toned into the spring water, yes.
According to the traditional Chinese medicine, right? 5 organ systems. Would you like to share, please?
Yes. So in traditional Chinese medicine, Qi Gong is one of the branches used in traditional Chinese medicine. There's also acupuncture, herbalism, Tai Chi, and the Qi Gong. So originally with traditional Chinese medicine, they found that there was documented written recording that the first modality of healing in that branch of medicine was music. And basically, this is from a Taoist point of view, that basically certain sounds align with certain organs and certain elements and certain seasons of the year, and they align the whole body to be harmonious. There's actually 6 sounds. And so the 6th one is the triple warmer. That is a work in progress that I will do in the future. But basically all the sounds, along with, you can do them through toning yourself. You can do it accompanied with movements that direct energy towards those organ systems. It can be sitting or standing, and they work on all levels of the person: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And so by toning, basically these sounds help to purge, they help to stimulate, they open up all the organ systems, they do multiple things through this toning, and they harmonize the body. The other thing in general about toning that's outside of Chinese medicine, but it's also included within, is that singing and toning and even humming also will help to strengthen your vagus nerve. And so this also does that too.
And this is called as what is called that technique, Taoist technique?
Yes, so they call it the 6 healing sounds, but it's from the Taoist tradition, and which was developed. And then from there, it was passed down orally from master to student and so forth. And then as different students branched off in their own practices, some of the sounds slightly changed. So some have their own different schools of sounds, but they all come from these basic 6 sounds that when they did their research over years, thousands of years ago, these sounds targeted those organs and harmonized everything. So it was really for self-care, well-being, and also healing to strengthen weakened systems in the body.
And would you like to tell all the sounds, Qi Gong sounds, Yan?
So the 5 Qigong sounds, the main ones, are based on the elements. And the element of wood, the primary organ that it stimulates and helps to balance is the liver. And with this sound that I created with the remedy, I call it positive courage. So it helps the ego, helps with the courage, helps with stimulating and clearing the liver, especially if the liver is maybe stagnant or a little bit weaker. The second Qigong sound is based on the element of fire, which its main organ, parent organ, is the heart. That one I simply call heart fire. That opens the heart. It's very beautiful. And by the way, all the remedies are gentle, but they go deeply. And the heart fire also is not just targeting the heart, it targets the blood vessels, which go everywhere in the body, including the brain. So it has, when you do the heart sound or take the heart sound remedy, it also helps circulation to the brain as well. The third one, the next one, is the spleen, which the corresponding element is earth. I call that remedy down to earth. And the spleen is really a larger area for the Qigong sound. It affects the spleen, digestion, the whole stomach and intestinal area. So it's a much larger area, but they refer to it as spleen. It's very grounding, and it also helps to support and stimulate good immune health. The next Qigong sound made into a remedy is for the lungs. It targets the lungs, and its corresponding element is metal in traditional Chinese medicine. This one I call My Song. And this helps with lung health, expression, also going to the throat. It helps also with different aspects of grief, irritability, anger that is from suppressed grief. And the last remedy that was made from a Qigong sound is targeting the kidneys. That corresponding element is water. And I call this kind kidneys. So this helps with things that helps the flow of the kidney, flow of water in the body through the kidney, and elimination, as well as aspects that emotionally can rest in the kidneys, such as fear and worry. So those things also are targeted when you do the Qigong sound or take the remedy. So altogether, it's the flow of the 5 elements within the body that gives harmony and balance. Sometimes we tip on one side more. Sometimes in some seasons we need help with another aspect of our being. But it's all to restore everything as balanced as possible.
So, Yan, this one would, what is that sound? It is MU, like.
Oh, yes. So in the next slides, further slides, I'll go through each of the sounds. And if you like.
Yeah. And this generating interaction. So we have the black arrows and the white arrows. So how that energy flows?
So basically, if you were to start at the very top of this diagram, which is a 5-element diagram, you start with wood or tree. They're all interrelated if you think about it in nature. So first of all, you have the black arrows that are the direct correspondence. That's the outer circle. So we'll start with the black arrows. So basically you have trees. And then from tree, if you, let's see, tree. Okay, let me try to explain this. Sorry. So
No.
basically, yeah. So you have tree. What transforms tree is fire. So fire will consume wood. You need, and this relates to liver and heart, but you need healthy liver to also help the heart. If there's too much fire, there's gonna burn the wood basically and consume that, and that aspect of your being will be needing support. Once there's fire and wood burns down, it turns to ash and carbon, and also any elements in the wood or the plants or the tree. Basically, once it burns, it goes down into earth and creates earth. And so this makes up all of the minerals and elements that occur in earth. From earth, then comes the elements and the minerals that get extracted from all of this ash and things, and you get metal or metals. And then from metal, it condenses and it goes into the moisture of the planets and creates water or condensation. So the other relationships now with the white arrows are an interplay of more deeper balance. So if you take the element metal, which is in white, for example, that's the color they assign to it. If you think of metal, it could be like an axe, and it can overtake wood. It can cut down a tree. So if you have too much imbalance of metal and grief and things like that, and you have that will cut down the tree, that can produce a secondary backlog in the liver, where you can basically have symptoms of the liver being out of balance, even emotionally, like repressed anger, frustration. So the metal, the axe, will cut down the tree. The tree will fall to the earth. It will break down. Fire also can go backwards and forwards. So fire can destroy wood. Fire going to metal. Fire can melt metal. So too much heart fire can override the lungs. And then in the white arrows of, let's see, a couple white arrows. So water, going backwards, water could actually cause metal to harden and rust. So if you go backward on a black arrow, water can actually, if you have too much water, you can actually affect the balance of your lungs, because think of it in the way of water rusting metal. Water can also overpower fire. So kidneys and heart are related, but it can take out heart. And let's see, did I get all of the elements in there?
Yes, yeah.
I think I did. So it's actually this usually the arrows, I have to tell you, they go two ways. They don't just, I'm just noticing on this diagram, they go one way, but they actually go two ways. That's why I was like looking at it and getting tripped up.
Yes. So we have for the fire one, it is going and then it is getting. So each one has the inward and outward.
Yes, yeah, it can go
2 weeks.
backwards and forward depending on what's going on with the person and their life. It can also be lopsided. So it can be out of balance. Maybe the person has too much problems with digestion, for example. And so then they're going to have back and forth issues with and crossing issues. So they'll have back and forth issues between the heart and lung health. They can have a secondary crossover issue with the liver. But then once you affect the other elements, they all start to um, readjust. So it's kind of like the vital force, basically, when when something happens to the vital force, everything else adjusts to sort of, protect the being of the most important thing for that being. And so it could be many compensations if something is suppressed. So it's very similar to how Mother Nature will react with the five elements, as well as like as you observe in homeopathy, how the vital force starts to compensate and show different symptoms that are reflective of something deeper.
Yes, yeah.
Does that make sense? Sorry,
Absolutely.
I'm rambling, Kavita.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, this is really, we are connecting with the homeopathy and the 5 elements.
Yeah,
Perfect. Vital force.
yeah, totally on. Yeah, actually, on those other slides, I mean, basically the five elements, right? They balance your vital force too. Yeah, just as our remedies do.
And from your experience, Yan, which is written here.
Yes. So for me, when I experience basically doing Qigong, toning Qigong, and also having made and taken the remedies myself, also, basically, I get anytime I tone, I get just a lighter sense about me. Um, and as far as the heart sounds, it does, and even all of them, they do open my heart center. I'm generally happier. I wrote here, I'm more awake and clear with my mental capacity. And I notice a greater sense and openness of compassion and love on that emotional level. But while that is all happening, I am nicely grounded. So that's been my personal experience from making the remedies, taking them, but also doing the toning and Qigong. So, as mentioned, the Qigong sounds, to make them, I combined ancient Taoist sounds and some of the sounds from another Qigong master, Ming Tong Gu, who learned other sounds from him. But they're also a interpretation from the ancient Taoist sounds. So the origin still comes from these six ancient sounds. And then in practice of Qigong, a lot of times they will make these sounds while they're doing a certain movement that corresponds.
Like spiral movement, right? Yeah.
Well, the movements might be like for example, a big bird wing, or it might be a lifting up like of your hands to the clouds, or uh, hands going like as if they're skimming on top of water very lightly. So there are all these movements that just direct energy for those organs. But the spiral is also like exponential when just like with other energetic medicine and prayer, meditation, all these things are exponential. When you begin to open it up, it just creates bigger, bigger, bigger. And it's quantum. So just like homeopathy, the Qigong sounds itself and the remedies, all of that is working in a quantum way.
Right. And history of Qigong sounds, yeah.
So the first official written record might have been anywhere around 221 to 207 BC for these sounds. Again, they observed that there's a relationship between the sounds themselves and our emotions. And so they gave a few examples. So, like when we're surprised universally through all, I think, cultures, languages, we might go, ah, ha, ah, or when we're relieved, ah, sighing. So these are very universal, but they began to really keenly observe, and they observed that these kind of sounds just coming out had this same repeating relationship to emotions. And we as humans have just a natural affinity for sound. So then later in China in 590 to 618 AD, there was a Qigong master, Zhi Zhuan. He's the first one who identified the six sounds, which now still are with us today, and how they have beneficial effects for healing on the body and the organ systems. And then this is a quote that was from a book that was translated from for this person who this Taoist practitioner who lived from 420 to 589. It was about caring for your health of the mind and prolonging your lifespan. Um, he says, one has only one way for inhalation, but six ways for exhalation. And he's talking about the healing sounds. And it's also beautiful to see in writing how they put together body, mind, and spirit. And I think you see this in many, many ancient cultures that have a long ancient tradition of their own medicines. Ayurveda is one. Chinese medicine, medicines that came out of, you know, um, the Middle East, Africa, Native American, Indigenous, Polynesian Indigenous, very ancient originating cultures, I think knew this.
So the sixth sound is, what is that sixth sound, yeah?
So the sixth sound I didn't create yet, but it's the triple warmer. So it's not an organ, but it's kind of just this governing vessel, this governing thing that comes over the whole body, over the head, that helps a lot of the thermals. So it's not necessarily an organ, but they label it triple warmer, and that's one I will work on in the next year.
Sounds great, Yan. And yeah, it is so interesting and new things which already there in long time back, but getting them out again and using them to benefit human beings. And now
Yeah,
coming to the sounds, Yan, would you like to share the sounds, the how each organ?
sure. So the heart, the fire sound or heart sound targets basically the heart, the whole cardiovascular system, all the circulatory vessels also that go to the brain. So the first sound is like yawning, or kind of laughing. It's the Taoist sound is and it can be very similar to other sounds across all of humankind, where you have the sound ah, ah. And so Master Ming Tonggu combined some of these. And the other part of this heart sound is in the remedy is part of his, which is xiao, which is sounds like this. Xiao. Then the next sound is the liver. And this is almost, it's in the traditional way, it is toned very, very softly and subtle. So it's Master Gu does it a little bit more forcefully, but it's basically the like a sigh. They say combination sigh and hiss. Um, and then the spleen or the pancreas, um, that one is in the Taoist way is who. And Master Ming Tonggu, he developed it to a little bit different from there, sounding like this. Gao. The lung sound is, let's see, the next sound, sorry, yes, is the lung. The lung is more like a quiet hissing sound, a little bit C. And so in the traditional way, they say it very quietly. C. I'm toning it, but it's almost a whisper. And with Master Ming Tonggu, it has a progression of sounds. Si, song, su. And then the last sound is that I made is the kidney sound. Traditionally, the Taoist sound is chui, like almost sounds like I don't know, birds chirping or something to me, but it's chui. And then Master Ming Tonggu, it's he does it a little bit with more fire. Eh, eh, eh. And that's how he does that. So I tone both into the kidney sound. And again, I didn't do the triple warmer, but those are the basic sounds. And those are what went into the spring water of the remedies.
And what are these daughter organs, Ian?
So the daughter organs, basically, they help with, they are the corresponding other organs to the mother organ as it relates. And so let's see. I wanted to, do you have another slide, Kavita?
Yes. This one?
Oh, uh, oh, okay. Let me see. Yeah, I have to, let me just make sure I have everything right on the daughter organs, because, one second. So let's see. Mother, daughter is kidney and bladder. And I want to make no, let me text you those. Let me type those in for you 1 second, because I always get small intestine mixed up with lung.
Yes. Uh,
And can you go back to the other slides and I'll continue for you. Let's see.
back, right? Okay. No, sorry.
Okay. Sounds okay.
Yeah, this one we are done, right?
I think so, yeah. Because basically the sounds will just transform more of the less desirable emotion to its positive, more revered emotion. So, like, for example, the heart sound will help transform that, heaviness in the heart. with more of the joy and uplifting and laughter. So all of the sounds will kind of bring into you the more positive aspect of that emotion.
And the liver, the same way, right? Anger, and it helps in.
Yes. Yes. So with anger in the liver, it will help bring forth the more positive aspects of the liver with the ego, the understanding, kindness, and courage, and self-confidence. With the spleen, it can in weakness there can be more worry, but when it's in balance, you'll be more able to have fun, spontaneity, releasing worry, what ifs. And then with the lungs, they can release sadness and grief, and bring about more of like a beauty of sensitivity to all things, but with confidence and courage. And with kidneys, um, the bigger emotion is worry and anxiety and fear. And so with the positive aspects, you can foster more creativity and gentleness.
Very nice. Yeah. So, like all the emotional aspect is balanced by these sounds. Like once.
Yes. Yeah, and I put this in that this is definitely not a complete list of the emotional aspects of each organ system. They go much deeper, and also they have that interrelationship with one another. And so, like, we know that the lungs physically hug the heart, and so the emotions and the positive aspects and the weaker aspects I listed, those are just basic examples, but it's definitely much deeper.
So would you like to go a little bit in depth about each sound, Yan?
Sure. So the heart sound is the first remedy I made. Um, it corresponds in traditional Chinese medicine to the note C major and the color red. It also has an affinity with the red blood cells, and the red blood cells are said to have the largest and maybe more noticeable reaction to the human voice. Um, and so, with toning the heart sound or the heart sound remedy, that's going to help with circulation on all levels.
So C major, is that the note, right, Yan?
That's the corresponding note within the traditional Chinese medicine system that they have. Yeah, for the heart sound within that system of TCM. Yes.
So the C hash means C major, note C major.
Hmm. Yeah, some other colors of red like may have a correspondence with the middle note C, but the toning of those ancient sounds, they correlated it to C major, but also the color red. And again, this was my very first remedy I made of the Qi Gong sounds, toning in two styles of sounds, and that was toned into spring water. So the aim of this remedy basically is to open the energetic center, heart center, or heart chakra, open the circulatory system of the blood and the brain. And the best potency that I found was 6x. I started with 1x and built my way up and went testing each time, and 6x was the best. So the heart is the main organ of this tone that it targets. The sense or sensory organ is the brain, and it's ruled again by the element of fire. and it's also linked to consciousness. So it does kind of open up one's consciousness as well with this sound. So some of the keynotes from the provings, the provers came through were strong, resilient, release, let go, tears of joy, secure. That was very big, secure in their emotions and also like in the body. So secure in the spine, freedom and independence, empowerment, cleansing, healing, robust, clear, release fears, ride the wave, less worry about the big stuff, efficient, helped procrastination, multitasking, more accepting and empathetic, grateful, feeling free, again, freedom, not taking it on, less anxiety, boundaries are not affected, buffer, realign, inner guidance, turning point. Some of the physicals that came through from the provers on the heart sound remedy was that there was pulsing in the left ear, the lip was quivering, sighing, earache, fullness in the right ear, high blood pressure, strong, steady, high blood pressure, which was strong and steady, double vision, headache in the vertex, ache and sharp pain in the heart, voice clear and stronger, energy improved, deeper sleep than usual, numbness in lower extremities decreased. There was one prover that had two provers with dreams. The one was with music, and then another one had a positive, like happy dream with a horse and a dog, which that person, the prover, was very fond of. So as far as working with the heart sound remedy since in clinical practice and after the proving, I find that the Qi Gong heart sound is useful in sequence to other remedies, including the sound remedies. So it's useful in sequence with the kidney sound. The kidney will work on those little jolts. Also, one person proved with kidney stones, the smaller shocks that kind of come into life. So the kidney sound, besides working with all the other sound remedies of the Qigong sounds, I find it follows or works well with aconite as well when you have that little shock, or before aconite when the shock is not so great. To help with the heart, sometimes I may not start directly with the Qigong heart sound, but I might have to start with its organ before it, the liver, or the one to follow, the stomach and spleen. So that 5-element relationship, I look at what's out of balance. I might start with the liver sound first and open that. Then I give the heart sound. And then there was one practitioner who was an acupuncturist. His client was taking my Qigong sound remedies, and he noticed that blocks were opening after the client used the sound remedies. And the blocks he described had been going on for years. They were never quite unblocked, but he found them to be more open once the sound remedies were used together with acupuncture. The lung heart sound in correspondence helps with release of suppression, suppressed grief, sinus discharge, and coryza. And I've also found that with traditional constitutional prescribing that these Qigong sounds, any of them, work really nicely as intercurrents. They work really wonderfully with Ambika's color remedies as well, and sound remedies too. So they're very user-friendly, I would say.
Like, Ian, so how frequently you have given, say, for the each sound, like morning and evening, or at once in a day or twice in a day? How the dosage and the repetitions?
So I usually start with once a day, and uh, sometimes I can give the heart twice a day. I have given the kidney sound twice a day if there's been a little bit more of a jolt. But sometimes the heart sound I've given twice a day when the person has a little bit more exhaustion and stress. They're overdoing, they're depleted. But generally, I give them once a day, and I give them for short pulses. I don't have them taking it ongoing. So I will have them take it once a day for anywhere from 3 to 5 days. Not usually right now longer than a week, but I usually will check in at about 3 to 5 days, but by 5 days and see, what's going on and what's changed. So I have used them in more shorter term and as intercurrents as well, but generally recommend starting with once a day. And then the sensitivity too is a person might only need maybe with kidneys or um, liver sound, they might only need 1 or 2 doses. And it just kind of realigns them and then kind of gets them on their way. So, it's very individual, but yeah,
So just one pill, either they can take it directly on the tongue, or they can put it in the water and take it.
yes, yes, just like, yeah, our other remedies, yes. So with the liver sound, this one again targets liver, and it promotes courage, kind of helps with supporting, uh, basically being more present. I think it also helps in its own way with grounding and discernment as well. And it stimulates the liver basically on all levels. Um, and so again, as I mentioned, if sometimes I'm wanting to address the heart, I may need to, but there might be symptoms of more stagnant liver when I take a case, then overriding that, trying to control, then I will start and open with the liver sound first before going to the heart. Um, and let's see what I put here. So yeah, if you have a highly sensitive client, they're wanting to do detox, I've also found that I can help first to nourish the liver um, for a very sensitive person with this sound remedy. So I might give that for, 3 days. And that just kind of helps to rebalance the liver before they go into some detox program. So the spleen, that one I call, that one is for basically healthy digestion, digesting life, accepting the sweetness of life and not being as bitter, and being accepting yourself, and allowing spontaneity. This one's very nice. It's gentle. Also, it helps with immune support. So this remedy so far, I have also used with flower essences, and also depending on what I need to the whole person, I may start with the spleen sound remedy, and even though I want to eventually get to the heart sound remedy, I may start with that first, depending on what's more out of balance. But this one, I think, just relaxes everything and allows one to not worry so much and kind of just enjoy. And then things will start to flow, you know, not only digestion, but how you take in life, what's around you on the external, and also what kind of defenses are you creating for yourself, not just internal immune support, but, you know, not having that defensive wall up, knowing that I can, oh, okay, I can relax and enjoy. I don't have to be so on defensive or feeling that I need to do that. So I find the spleen sound helps with those kind of things.
So liver, spleen, and then going to the heart would be a good idea if
Y-
they
uh,
need it, if they are
Yeah,
not
they
balanced.
need it. And sometimes if you give liver first and you find that things are really opening up, you can go right to the heart. But that would be a nice way too. Liver, spleen, heart. Yes. And it just builds helps them to receive more too once they get the heart opened. Um and then the progress may not be blocked because you've cleared other things. The lung sound basically helps, like with the lungs, symptoms that are expressive of lung being out of balance. So grief and sadness. There could be irritability, a different kind of suppressed anger. Sometimes it can be the opposite of love, hatred, which is very, very, very deep in the lungs, way down in the lower lobes. So energetically, it helps to release. Um, and also, let's see, you can helps with sinus discharge. Whoops. Oh, helps with sinus discharge and coryza as well. And then with the lung sound remedy, I have used it either together or with or following Ignatia or Natmir. It's actually been quite nice, and it just keeps everything open. Um, I think that probably, Kavita, in your presentation, you probably have some mudras that would go really well with this lung sound and even all the sounds. But with the lung sound, I think you probably have some in your presentation on the mudras. So even like using the sound remedy like that would enhance, you know, not just another remedy, but it could enhance mudras. It could enhance color work, whatever, acupuncture, but mudra for sure. Yeah. And the lung is very, very gentle, but it does allow the release, and it does bring up the release and the crying and the tears in a gentle way, you know, in a yeah. This one I think is cathartic in a different way. Um the kidney sound, that one also definitely is very nice and gentle. It helps with those little jolts when you get that quick surprise, or you have to, or something changes, you get some minor news that's not such a huge shock, and then you have to regroup quickly, or, you know, adjust. And so the kidney sound helps with that. It also helps, I have found, with anticipatory anxiety. So it is like a gelsemium, but it's less. It's not as potent as a gelsemium in that way, but it's in that more minor way where there's that slight anticipatory anxiety. That also helps. And it, you can feel it just coming down over your whole body like this, and you're just relaxed. Um, but it's not the dull, heavy, you know, drowsy feeling. I have followed it or used it in conjunction with aconite. I've also used it in conjunction with Bach flower rescue remedies, and other flower essences too. In one highly, highly, highly sensitive client, she proved she had a history of kidney stones. The sound remedy stimulated a kidney stone. I think what happened, in hindsight, is that the kidney flow actually opened up. This person was pretty locked up, saw many practitioners, including an acupuncturist. And I think that the kidney sound, it opened things up. So what was already probably there became unstuck. Um, but I do warrant caution. If you have a highly sensitive patient with kidney stones, um, I think I would address that first with traditional homeopathic remedies that are well proven before going to this kidney sound, Qi Gong sound, is my advice. And that, um, if there's no active stones, and then I'd say, okay, with the kidney sound, but do check with your clients. Right now,
Like
I would
what
avoid.
happens? Sorry to
So
interrupt. What
she
happens when they have the active stones?
So, well, she just got very aggravated and had to get treated for the stone. But it was after the kidney sound remedy. She had gone through the sequence of all of the Qigong sounds. So everything was opening up already and flowing more. And I think she had a long history of stones, very sensitive to oxalates. Um, and so I think that it probably didn't likely cause the stone, but it stimulated the kidney to open whatever was there. If there was even any little bit of gravel, I think it opened it up and it was wanting to come out. So that's why I warrant caution. So that one kind of, frightened me, was an eye opener during the
That is
during, yeah. So I do warrant caution for this one because this kidney Qigong sound can be very stimulating. It can not just open up the kidneys, but it can stimulate it to where it will be more active. And so, yeah, just caution there through my experience.
thank you, Yan. That is good.
Yeah.
We to keep careful.
And luckily, and she was fine, and everything else later was okay. But um, this is a case one, a case vignette, using the heart qigong sound 6x, a 68-year-old female. She had low back pain with right lower extremity radicular pain. I gave her the intercurrent of qigong heart sound. I did 6x twice a day. Now for her, I did 3 weeks. And she was also on supportive constitutional remedy. And I did a full duration of 3 weeks. I basically would check in with her though, every like 3 to 5 days. She would email me like a little journal entry on how she was doing. So since she was progressing, I said, okay, continue. Um, as she got better. So by the end of 3 weeks, she said she was best by 3 weeks. The right piriformis pain was much less intense upon her rising from bed. The pins and needles in the right lower extremity resolves more quickly in the mornings. She was reported that there was noticeable improvement and she didn't need to take her Cali carb as needed. Along the way, she felt more empowered, more in charge. She said she was also able to focus more upbeat, stable, with less fatigue. So after week 3, this client was able to prepare a big Thanksgiving dinner for like multiple friends and family. She reported doing a lot of dancing and music and feeling really happy. And so that's partly from her journal entry. And so she did very well. And later, her extremity pain is gone. Case vignette 2, using the heart Qigong Sound 6X in a 72-year-old female. Recent grief with her father's passing following a long period, years basically, of taking care. She had a lot of depletion and exhaustion. She began to develop random runs of fast heartbeat, rising heart palpitations, and exhaustion. So she was on a constitutional supportive remedy and also had remedy for grief and exhaustion prior as well. Uh, what was not resolving was these runs of the heart palpitation. So I gave the Qi Gong heart sound, again, 6x twice a day. It ended up being for a duration of 3 weeks, but I checked in, at least weekly. And then what she reported was that it lessened the frequency of the runs of the fast heartbeat and palpitations. Eventually, by week 2, everything resolved, and she was able to sleep more, less sighing. She didn't have to take these deep breaths to feel like she had to catch up her breath with her heart, and she was less irritable, fortified, and able to travel for her family's memorial service.
So, Yan, what was the remedy for this client who had this recent grief? Is it ignitia, or what was the remedy, constitutional remedy that was
Her
given?
her constitutional remedy is Costicum, and I have her on an LM. Yeah, and so she's now doing very, very, very well, but her constitutional is Costicum. The other one, the constitutional in that first vignette was Lycopodium.
This one. Lycopodium, and later on, Calicab was like just like acute remedy, which
Yes,
was
just acute, kind of in lower potency as needed. Originally, when I was working with her with that back pain, was Calicarb, but she did very well. More of her nervous system rather than muscles, musculoskeletal. It was more the nervous system that was aggravating. So I thought let's try the heart Qigong, and that worked very well for her.
and she has this back pain, and for how long? Like, is it chronic?
Years. Yes,
For
it was
years.
chronic. It's chronic, and now she's very good. She doesn't really have to maintain much back pain. I mean, a lot has resolved over years. Yes.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Yan. And I did thank you for sending me this Qigong remedies. And I myself have used like heart and I think lung also. But I really felt good, and I gave to my friend. She also liked it. So we'd love to give to many more clients and help them to
Oh,
benefit.
that's
So
awesome, Kavita.
uh,
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
it is so nice that you can see, but you are an expert and you did proving. So as a part of our study group, Ka Homeopathy study group, you have introduced these sound remedies to us. It is really grateful, and thank you so much, Yan.
Thank you so much, Kavita. It's quite an honor. And it's still a baby in progress, but thank you. It's progressing. It's growing.
We look forward for your book.
Thank you.